Hey everybody, it's Amy Yamada here with Olga Plastino.
Hey everyone.
Welcome to our May Marketing Bootcamp, and I'm in a unique setting here because I am live from my awesome Powerhouse May Mastermind. So I'm gonna have everybody say hello.
Hello.
Yeah, so we're at the gorgeous Edge Bar here in Seattle. So happy to be here. Everyone's, for the most part, has flown in, which is super exciting. So we're just getting started. We thought we're still going to do the May Marketing Bootcamp because we have some super fans out there, I'm sure. No, I'm kidding. But I know that you have been taking notes and a part of this awesome May Marketing Bootcamp. So today is all about creating your branding. So even if you have a brand like me, like I have a brand, and I would say every 2 years or every year we check in with it, right?
It's actually a continuous process because brands always evolve. So you want to stay consistent with your brand, but it's kind of a tricky situation with the branding because your goals change as your business develops, and then you should always check in with your brand and make subtle changes, not big changes, to keep it up to date and then keep it consistent.
Yeah, so for those of you who haven't met the fabulous Olga Plastino, she has been a part of my team since I don't know, 20 years now? Just kidding.
Probably, maybe
No,
30, I don't know.
It's been a long time. And
Since Lynn got it.
I know. So I used to own another business. I actually owned 2 businesses at the same time. And with the other business, I kept changing what it was that I was even offering. I was confused about the name. I mean, we kept changing the name of the programs, what types of offerings that we had. So poor Olga here was like, okay, I'm happy to do your branding. Just what is it, what's your message? Which is why, I speak into messaging so much, because if you don't have a strong message, then your branding can be super confusing.
Definitely.
And as we all know, a confused mind never buys.
Yes.
So what has happened over the years, as we've evolved, like now I'm very, very clear with my message, and then that's also expressed in my brand. So I wanted to bring Olga here to join me as my fabulous creative director. She's amazingly talented. She does all of my photos. So if you see my photos on my website, this is all Olga. And there's a difference between like boring headshots and branding photos.
Yes, absolutely, and that's a big part of the overall branding strategy. So the branding is expressed through different ways. I know we're kind of jumping around from what I originally thought, but branding expressed through different ways. So through your words, through your imagery, through your interactions with your clients, and through the experiences that they get. So words is, what you're talking about, your title, your messaging, your copy on your website and your print, that's part of your words. The visuals are obvious, right? So that's your pictures, that's pictures of your product, of your packaging, all of that kind of stuff, everything that you see. So that's expressed in color, in all sorts of visuals. And the interaction is how you comment to people. It's your speaking voice, even if you're not speaking but writing, but that's part of it. So the things that you tweet, the things that you
like on Instagram,
response, Instagram, you posts and things like that. And the experiences is how your customer experiences you and your company. Is when they go on your website, what experience they have. Is if you deliver an actual product, what kind of packaging do you have? Is your packaging consistent with your overall brand personality? And we can talk about brand personality a little bit.
Yeah, definitely. So, okay, one thing I know that we're going to talk about today also is the number 1 rule of branding. Are you ready for it? Get your pens out right now. The number 1 rule, Olga, is what?
It is definitely consistency. Consistency. I know most people don't want to hear that because it sounds like work, and it is.
For sure.
And there's a really good quote. I think it's by Sir Richard Branson, and he says that, I remember exactly the words, but it says something to this effect, that brand is not an overnight thing, so it needs to continue evolving, and you need to work at it consistently.
Right.
So why is consistency is important? So first of all, you want to create trust with your client. So if your message is consistent, then your clients will trust you and ultimately will buy from you. So because they know intuitively what kind of experience they can expect from you, and that's really, really important. Also, you create dependability, that people know that they can depend on you showing up, like Amy showing up every day in May at 9 o'clock in the morning.
That's right.
So that's her brand.
Yeah.
And part of it. So that is really important. And of course, in this day and age, your customers want to know you and people behind the brand, and that's part of your branding experience, or part of building your brand, because that is very important, because people are very concerned with your values, where you stand, what your mission statement, and all of that, you know, what you deliver.
Definitely. So one of the things that Olga had me do, actually we've done it a couple times now over the years, but most recently, my most recent rebrand is we created a Pinterest, like, okay, this is so fun. Create a Pinterest board where it's like a mood board or a style board. And can you talk a little bit about that?
Yes, absolutely. There's actually a series of exercises how you can arrive at what your brand should be or what your brand personality, and something that aligns with you personally as a business owner, because that is important, and also that aligns with your ideal client. So you definitely need to understand who your ideal client is. So you will deliver the experiences to them based on what they would respond to, and hopefully it aligns with what your personal preferences are, and that has to do with everything, you know, what we were talking about earlier, speaking voice, your writing voice, your colors, your visuals, your packaging, and all of that. So the series of exercises that we go through with all of my clients, and then we'll actually do some of it here
yes
tomorrow.
With all these lovely people. I know they're eating right now. Sorry, ladies and gentlemen.
Because I'm like
I know, right behind you. I know. Sorry, don't mind us. We're like up against everybody.
I know, exactly.
We're all cuddling here. It's all good. It's all good.
Definitely. So the series of exercises that would help you determine this, because it's really hard to just come up with this, right? Like, how do you come up with what's my brand personality? So you ask yourself questions and you define words that
like
describe.
what kind of questions so that they can think about that?
For example, if which one was your favorite? Well, you like the words. Like if you were to describe your brand with words, you know, what would they be? And then there's a number of words. It would be fun, dependable, silly, joyful, serious, upscale, elegant, you know. So you pick the words.
Yeah, you know, I was thinking about this the other day because I know that we picked my 5 words, and I'm embarrassed to say I don't have them like memorized. Like, so here's my homework assignment, and I invite all of you to do this too. So if you can pick 5 descriptive words, I bet glamorous. I love glam.
You like glam,
okay.
yeah.
So like glamorous, fun-loving, right? Connected, right? Now everyone's laughing.
Yeah.
So just think about like, what do you want your brand to express about you? And then when Olga talks about the #1 rule of consistency, that means like if you're speaking on a stage, what is your look? So even how you show up, like what are you wearing?
Absolutely.
You know, how, you know, your hair, your makeup, like how are you showing up? And then also in your photos, what are you exuding in your branding photos?
Yeah.
What colors are you wearing, right?
Yes, how your energy, how you present yourself, right? So for instance, if you are maybe financial advisor, your look will be different than if you are, you know, holistic healer. So
right? It's true, yeah.
Yes, of course. So you have to look different because you would attract different kind of people, and that's what they would expect, right? And then if you're a financial advisor, maybe they expect somebody in the, you know, looking more conservative,
right?
You know, unless your personality is a little bit different, so you're attracting maybe like younger audience or more, you know, I don't know. But everything has to be consistent, which is super important. So for example, if you look very conservative, but when you send your packaging, right, like say you deliver, you know, I don't know, cupcakes or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, well, cupcakes not a good example, but you know.
Well, even here, okay.
Like for instance, right, because you're a coach, right?
Yep.
So if you deliver a virtual product, right, like some kind of a training or seminar, if you look very conservative and you send everything with a, you know, a kind of a childish script, very playful, you know, people go like, wow, what is this really the same person? This is weird.
Yeah.
So, and then people will become confused, and confusion is the worst, because confused mind never buys. So people will be not sure what's going on, and you will lose your customers potentially. So consistency across all channels is super important.
Okay, so then one last thing I want to talk about was social media. So consistency in social media. Like if you were to share with them one thing that they could do in social media, or something that you would give them as a tip, what would you say that is?
So I would say consistency in social media is like super important, right? And then maybe I'll give 3 tips, not one.
Okay,
right?
I love it. Abundance. Yes, let's do it.
So one thing, so you have to be consistent with your visuals. So that means, that's pretty obvious, right? It's your colors, it's your the look and feel of what you present. So, and it doesn't mean that you have to have everything the same color. So it could be a palette of colors, but it has to have a similar look. So the one good thing to examine is your Instagram feed if you're using Instagram, and then take a look and see, does it look cohesive? Does it look how you like it? And pay attention, do you want it to be light or dark? Do you want it to be bright colors or muted colors? So that's one thing to look at. So the second thing is consistency in posting.
Posting, okay.
Posting. So you need to choose your frequency, and you should post, you can choose any frequency. You can post every day, you can post once a week, you can post 5 times a day. So of course it's not a hard rule, but it's best to stick to some kind of a calendar, right?
Yeah.
And then this third thing is consistency in how you present your brand through social channels, right? So how you present your story, how to present your brand story, how your brand personality comes through. So that's really important. So what I suggest people do is pick certain themes and then stick to them and rotate them, because that makes it, first of all, easier to decide what to post, and then there is some kind of consistency without being repetitive or boring.
Okay, what do you mean by a theme? Yeah, yeah, give an example.
For example, so you can show what's going on today, right? So that could be one thing. So like, what are you working on right now? You can show, that's number one. Number two, you can show the tools of your trade, how you do it, behind the scenes. People love to see that. Number three, you can show your values. You can show something inspirational. That would be your why, right? Why you're doing it. So that's kind of good too. So number four, you can show your customer spotlight, case studies, right? You can show customer testimonials, something like that.
Definitely.
And always think about how that benefits my brand, right? So how that benefits my message, my brand, and ultimately my business goals.
Yeah, definitely. And one other thing too is that, like, I like to think about, like, when you think about your favorite brands, so it doesn't even have to be in your industry. Like, one thing that I've done in the past as an exercise is think about your favorite brands and what do you know about them. Like, if you were to describe Apple or if Nike or whoever, like, what would you say about those brands? And notice that how easy and effortless it is for you to describe them. And you want people to be able to do that about you, right?
Right, because of course what brand is, and for a lot of people is very confusing, like, what is branding? What is it? So it's of course a collection of things about your company, how you present yourself, but really a brand is like a reputation to a person. So it's what people actually think about you. So the tools of how you do it is your logo, it's your visuals, it's your postings, it's your website, it's your, all of those things, your marketing materials, right?
And your consistency.
And your consistency, absolutely. That's a holy grail of branding.
Yeah.
But it is what people think about you. So here's a good example. Like, and it has to be recognizable, right? And it builds over time. So don't be attached to perfection right away, because that is definitely not possible to achieve for anybody. And perfection is really only in your mind. I forgot who says that. Somebody said it, right? Perfection is in your mind because you think that you want to achieve like certain thing, but people that are looking at you and what you present, they don't know. They think maybe that's the end result. So what somebody said?
Oh yeah, brand. Okay, Kelly. She says brand story, brand personality, great concepts to share. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So like, I can give you one example of something that everybody would know and how recognizable it is. When you watch TV and you have commercial come up and you go like, oh, I know it's a Target commercial. Before they even say Target, before you see the sign, before anything, it's because they present it in a certain look. And it's not always the same, right? But it's a certain look. It's bright, colorful, it's whimsical. It's, always has light background. It has red,
red circle, red, white,
all of that, right? And so they want to show that they're fun, approachable, etc., right? Like, it's really fun. So it's recognizable. So you want to be recognizable, of course, within your circles of influence for your clients.
Yeah, I love it. So Olga, thank you so much for being here. Yay! And to all my powerhouse entrepreneurs for being here. And I hope this has been helpful. So the number one rule is consistency. Yes, so make sure you're consistent with your branding, and also really think about your brand personality. I mean, this has been a game changer for me. I mean, I think that one of the most beautiful things is that, when you have the words and messaging, which is my area, and then you have the visuals and the branding to like be that just combined magical power, then it's really great, because when you put yourself out there in that way, then people really get to get the essence of who you are, what you stand for, what you do. So one thing that I always like to think about, both in branding and words and messaging, is how do you want people to talk about you?
That's it.
Like, if someone was, like, a friend of yours was to refer an ideal client to you, what would you want them to say so that they were clear with your brand and your message and what you stand for? So I'll just leave you with that. We're going to get started here. We're wrapping up breakfast, and we're going to jump right in with the Powerhouse May Mastermind. So thank you for joining us. We'll be here again tomorrow for a Stretch Challenge, Challenge Friday for May Marketing Bootcamp. Sending you all much love, and we'll see you tomorrow. Bye.